How I Collapsed My Fairy Tale Dream Life. The true story of when you get everything you ever wanted and becomes what destroys you. Everyone dreams of the good life, the money, the freedom, the views from the balcony that don't look real. The kind of life you only see in movies, music videos, Instagram reels, and other people's highlight reels. Private jets, yachts, Ferraris, country club mansions, beach houses, celebrities, the dream girl, the fairy tale ending. Most people chase it their entire lives and never get close. I didn't chase it. I lived it. And that's the part no one ever talks about. What happens when the fantasy actually comes true? Because I didn't lose the dream. I collapsed it. On purpose. For over 5 years, I lived what I can only describe as a fairy tale dream life. A fantasy so surreal that even while I was inside it, I kept asking myself whether it was real or whether I was dreaming. I lived between Colorado and Puerto Rico. In Denver, I lived on the Denver Country Club golf course overlooking downtown, the city capital, and the mountains. A backdrop that looked like a movie set every time the sun went down. In Puerto Rico, I lived in Ocean Park, in a beach cottage steps from the ocean in one of the most exclusive neighborhoods on the island. In my garage sat a Range Rover autobiography that used to belong to Ryan Tedder from One Republic. Next to it sat a Ferrari Portofino. I flew private. When I didn't, I flew first class. Black card lounge access in every airport, VIP rooms, private parties, world's most connected rooms. I wasn't watching life happen through a screen. I was inside it. I was at private events with the world's elite, in Puerto Rico with Jake Paul, in Dubai for Formula One, invited to Richard Branson's Necker Island, invited to his birthday, invited to the maiden voyage of his Virgin cruise ship. I rode with him in a private van in Mexico, went spelunking together, saw him again at a private F1 event in Dubai, sat at his birthday table with billionaires including Sarah Blakely, who later spent days hanging out on our yacht in Puerto Rico, talking business like it was nothing. I hosted actress Natasha Lyonne at our property for months. Actor Anthony Ramos stayed with us and hung out on the yacht. Lin-Manuel Miranda spent time with us on the water, singing and entertaining as cruise ships passed by. This wasn't a flex. This was my normal. Business was booming. I started a podcast with Sugar Shane Mosley. I was part of a media startup with massive potential, backed by my wealthy, connected brother. Every single day, I had to pinch myself. Not metaphorically, literally. I'd wake up and ask, is this real? I thought I was already living in a dream. Then the dream stacked. It happened on a yacht trip. She was a guest. I barely spoke to her at first. Then I saw her jump off the back of the yacht and start swimming toward Palomino Island, a secluded island where we were anchored. Something hit me. An urge, a pull, a knowing. I didn't think. I jumped in after her. I swam hard. When she turned around and saw me, she laughed and said, "Oh my God, I didn't know you could swim that fast." She was everything. Not pretty, not hot. She was the girl from my dreams, the face, the eyes, the smile, the body, the energy, everything I had ever imagined, not consciously, but in the deepest parts of me, was standing right there in front of me, dripping ocean water onto the sand. From that moment on, she became my target, not in a manipulative way, in a "this is fate" way. We started connecting, talking, bonding. Every event we attended as a group, we gravitated toward each other. A few days later, she was supposed to fly back to Colorado. Time was running out. That morning, I asked if she liked coffee. She said yes. I made some, knowing it would give us time alone. It turned into the longest, uninterrupted time we'd spent together. I asked if she'd ever been to Old San Juan. She hadn't. I asked if, even though it was her last day, I could show her around. She said yes. Old San Juan is my favorite city in the world. My favorite place, my favorite energy, my favorite memories. I was about to show the girl of my dreams the most magical place I know. This was my last shot. I had a plan. El Moro, the cemetery where my great-grandmother is buried. Cocktails, a piña colada where it was invented. Street food I'd eaten since I was a kid. The plan worked. I could see it in her face, her smile, her eyes. The way she leaned toward me, I felt it. We were connecting, soul level, but the clock was ticking. Her flight was at 5 p.m. As we headed back toward my beach cottage through Condado, we stopped at a beachfront bar. Sexy music, ocean breeze, high energy. She ordered a drink called the Nymph, fitting. She laughed and asked, "What are you trying to do? Get me drunk so I miss my flight?" I told her the thought had crossed my mind. She said, "That would be awesome." That moment cracked reality. I teased her, saying she better watch out. She said she was thinking the same thing. We ordered another drink, then another. A couple hours before her flight, I told her we should probably leave if she wanted to make it. I saw sadness in her eyes. I said, "Unless you want to stay longer, why don't you just miss it?" She looked at her phone, tried to change the flight. Too late. No more flights. I said, "Then don't fly at all. Cancel it. Stay with me." She asked, "Then when would I go back?" I said, "Never, or whenever. Who cares? We'll figure it out." She looked at me and said, "Are you serious?" I said yes. She said, "Okay." Just like that. She canceled her flight. She stayed. That was the official first day of our fairy tale love affair. I was already living a dream life. Now I had the girl of my dreams inside it with me. That night, we ended up at La Concha Resort. We couldn't keep our hands off each other. We were like crazed teenagers, kissing, touching, blinded to the world. A security guard tapped me on the shoulder and said, "Hey, everyone's staring at you." He paused, looked at us, and smiled. Then he said, "Come over here. You'll have more privacy." The universe was winking. Then my brother tapped me on the shoulder, laughing, proud. He told someone nearby it was his brother. Security had been radioing about a couple almost having sex in the lobby. He came to see who it was. It was me. He asked, "I thought she was flying out today." I told him we got drunk so she'd miss her flight. That night sealed it. I thought my dream life had peaked. I was wrong. I started questioning reality. Was this a dream? A coma? A lucid fantasy? I didn't want to wake up. I prayed to stay inside it. I asked God for 6 more months, just 6. I'd accept anything after. I told the universe I'd go back to the real world if I could just have this. Later, on a hammock in Vieques, she told me something. She said when she jumped into the water that day, she made a wish. She threw it into the ocean. She asked God to send her the man of her dreams. When she turned around and saw me swimming toward her, she knew. We believed we manifested each other, masters of the universe, 2 forces colliding. And for a while, we were unstoppable. But fairy tales don't warn you about the cost. They don't tell you what happens when desire outpaces containment. They don't tell you that some doors, once opened, don't close gently. And they don't tell you what it feels like when the dream starts to rot from the inside. Fairy tales don't end suddenly. They decay. They rot slowly, quietly, behind the scenes while everything still looks beautiful on the surface. That's the most dangerous part. When the dream is still convincing enough to keep you inside it, even as it starts poisoning you. For a long time, I ignored the cracks. I told myself intensity was passion. I told myself chaos was chemistry. I told myself obsession was love. I had already crossed into territory most people never reach. I had already been rewarded by the universe in ways I couldn't explain. So when things started to feel off, I didn't question the direction. I assumed it was part of the price. I believed great love required sacrifice. I was wrong. The first time my brother saw makeup on my face, he knew. We were at dinner at STK in Condado Beach, Puerto Rico. It was supposed to be a normal, nice evening. Steak, wine, conversation. But when he looked at me closely, he noticed something off. The makeup wasn't for style, it was covering scratches. He asked, she had done it. She had put makeup on me herself so no one would see. That should have been the moment I ended it. But when you're inside a fairy tale, logic doesn't sound like wisdom. It sounds like fear. And fear is easy to dismiss when everything else in your life feels elevated. That night, after dinner, we argued. Then she disappeared. She didn't grab a bag, didn't grab a purse, didn't grab a charger, didn't grab clothes. She vanished, gone, no calls, no messages, no trace. She had told me stories before about going to La Perla, a place you don't go to unless you're ready to gamble with your life. She once called me from there, sent videos of people following her, said they were going to kill her. So when she disappeared, my mind went there immediately. I panicked. I spiraled. I couldn't breathe. I called the police. Detectives got involved. They took me to the morgue to identify bodies. Standing there, looking at the dead, waiting to see if one of them was her, something inside me broke permanently. That's when I crossed the line. I didn't care who answered. God, the universe, the devil. I didn't care. I prayed to all of them. I begged. I made offers. I offered my soul. I didn't think about theology. I didn't think about consequences. I didn't think about symbolism. I just wanted her alive. Time stopped making sense. Days blurred. Nights disappeared. At one point, I decided I was going to La Perla myself. I called people. I asked about weapons. I wasn't thinking rationally. I was ready to burn everything down. Then the call came. They found her. She wasn't in Puerto Rico. She was in Colorado. She was alive. Relief washed over me. But it came with something else. A knowing. Something had answered, and whatever answered had taken something in return. I didn't feel whole anymore. I knew then that I never wanted to see her again. The intensity was too much. The energy was too dangerous. The connection had crossed into something that didn't belong in the real world. But knowing that didn't matter. We couldn't resist. No one wanted us together anymore. She alienated everyone around me. She cost me business deals. She cost me opportunities. She fractured relationships. Still, we couldn't stay away from each other. The pull was stronger than reason. I was banished from Puerto Rico because of her. So I gave it all up. The beach cottage, the yacht access, the private jet flights, the dream life. I chose her over everything. We went into van life, a Mercedes Sprinter, months on the road, over 30,000 miles. Colorado, California, Vegas, Florida, New York, Myrtle Beach, Kentucky. It was another fantasy, one I'd dreamed about for years. Van life, nomad life, freedom, adventure. But now the fairy tale had teeth. Something had changed in her. Something had taken her over. She wasn't the same person who jumped into the ocean that day. She told me things that chilled me. She told me she was going to ruin her ex, an attorney. She told me she made up stories, went public, destroyed his life, cost him his law license. She sued him, demanded money, leaked things to the press. Later, it came out in the Denver newspapers. He took his life. I started realizing I wasn't dealing with love anymore. I was dealing with something predatory. I became afraid, not emotionally, physically. I knew my freedom was at risk. I knew my life was at risk. She told me she would suck the soul out of me. My mother said the same thing, without knowing what she'd said. Sometimes I'd wake up in the middle of the night and catch her whispering in my ear, chanting. Sometimes it sounded like another language. Sometimes I caught words. You'll never leave me. You belong to me. I own your soul. If you ever leave, I'll kill you. I stopped sleeping. I stopped feeling safe. I realized the fairy tale had turned into a nightmare. And nightmares don't end on their own. They consume you. I knew I had to end it in a way that made it impossible to go back. I knew myself. I knew if there was even a crack of possibility, I'd be pulled back in. So I prayed again. Not for love, not for reunion, for separation, permanent separation. I asked God. I asked the universe. I asked them to let her take someone else's soul, just not mine. I asked for my soul back. I felt something shift, something release. Then she begged me to come see her in Miami for Valentine's Day, February 14th, 2025. We were supposed to get back together. I walked away from everything again. I started businesses, got her a house, built a future, again. But something stopped me, a voice, a knowing, a warning. If I went, I wouldn't come back. She was planning to kill me. I didn't go. That was the moment. She lost control. She did everything I needed her to do to set me free. Threats, smear attempts, fake accounts, fake numbers, fake emails, trying to reach me, trying to pull me back in. But the deal had already been made. I got my soul back. I blocked her everywhere. I honored the agreement. I don't hate her. I don't miss her. I understand her place in my life. She was never meant to be forever. She was meant to open a door and force me to close it. I took what I needed. I filled my cup. And then I collapsed the fairy tale so it could never be resurrected. I burned every bridge. Not out of anger, out of survival. Sometimes her name still appears, a photo, a memory, a place. When it does, I don't fight it. I remember the beauty, and only the beauty. I remember the fantasy. I remember that it was never meant to last. I put it back on the shelf with my other fairy tales. Puerto Rico, the yacht, the island, the jump into the ocean. Those moments are archived now. Not wounds, artifacts. I'm already on my next journey. There will be another dream life, another fairy tale. But this time, it will be contained, grounded, chosen, not possessed. I don't regret collapsing the dream, because if I hadn't, it would have collapsed me. And some dreams are only given to you once, not to keep, but to teach you what you are capable of surviving.